what I do is still a struggle to survive. Don't know if I'ma ever make it out this game alive. No matter what I do, I cannot seem to get ahead. Instead of hoping for the best, you'd rather see me dead. No matter what I do, it's still a struggle to survive.
What is happening, Captain? It is your host with the most, the Monkman, Marl Kalone. And this is Season 1, Episode 29. I have to get right into the fact that the video I dropped yesterday and a follow-up open letter to the admins and leaders of multiple MGTOW groups seems to have brought out a pretty strong base of support. The overwhelming majority of men in the groups and on the YouTube were positive in my direction. That being said, I also fully expected to see comments from blue-pilled manginas and cucks that became very defensive, and it happened. It happened. It was no surprise to me, and we even had a few of the cucks threaten to, I'm gonna report your video to YouTube as prejudice and this and that. And these are men that are supposed to be in the red-pilled community. So anyway, started to see a lot of blue pills come out like we do, and to me, what it brought up was the fact that we have a lot of infiltrators in the group. We have a lot of infiltrators. It's not just the blue-pilled simps and manginas, but we also have infiltrators in the way of women. We have infiltrators in the way of fake accounts where you just have no idea who the hell it is. We have infiltrators in the way of hardcore feminists that are posing as men in these groups. We have infiltrators in the way, now this is a big one for me, in the way of married men. Married men. And you might say, well, it's okay because married men can still be part of the MGTOW community. Well, I guess one could argue, could say they could be maybe supportive of other men within the community that aren't married or in relationships with women, but they in no way can be true red-pilled or MGTOW men. I mean, that's an idiosyncrasy to sit there and say that men who are in relationships with the enemy can somehow be part of the community or be part of the philosophy of MGTOW when you're literally in bed with the very reason we exist. I mean, it's an irony that we've come to this. It's also sad in a way, and So anyway, long story short, I had a lot of support for the video I dropped yesterday, also for the open letter that I dropped yesterday. I would say the overwhelming support was probably 80 to 85% was positive. And then you had roughly 15% of blue-pilled jack-offs that decided to give their 2 cents on things. And to be honest with you, I can take what they said and blow it out my ass because that's about how much I care about their bullshit. So, That being said, the other thing that I addressed in the open letter was also gay men, and we had a springboard of a number of men saying, "Oh, that's anti-homosexual commenting." No, it isn't. No, it isn't. If you can sit here and you can logically tell me how a man that is in a relationship with another man can offer true field-tested and sound advice on dealing with women when we're in social relationships or dating type relationships for certain men that are still at that early stage of MGTOW, or dealing with the aftermath of being married to a woman and having to deal with child support and alimony and having your kids stolen, having your house stolen, having your career stolen, and on and on and on. All those things that go along with the aftermath and of the destruction of a woman. If you can tell me how a gay man can offer you actual field-tested and sound advice on that, I'd love to hear it, because honestly, they can't. Just like as a straight man, I can't offer you advice on the issues of being gay. They would certainly know the issues a hell of a lot better than me, and so I don't try to infiltrate their organizations or their networking and somehow offer them advice on being gay. And if I were to do that, they would run me out of there and tell me to get the fuck out because I know nothing about being gay. And they would be correct. Same situation applies here for gay men as well. Sorry if some of you blue-pilled manginas don't like that, but it's just a scientific fact. You can dislike it all you want, but when I see these responses and behavior of these snowflakes coming back on me and the way that they respond, it just tells me you don't belong in the MGTOW community. You've infiltrated our community and you're turning it into nothing but a big piss-ass fishbowl of people that don't belong here. Anyway, that little rant aside, today's topics are going to be on the same type of things. Can married men or women or gay men be MGTOW? Does society even recognize the true definition of words or phrases like MGTOW anymore? These are questions I'm going to ask today. And I've got a new term for you, and it's called dry raging. Dry raging. Dry raging. So we'll talk about that as well. Anyway, let's get into the biggest topic of the day, the first major topic of the day. Can married men, can gay men truly be MGTOW? Let's break that down by each category. I would think that the majority of men within the MGTOW community are going to say to you, obviously, women, feminists, male feminist sympathizers, male feminist supporters, blue-pilled, male simps, manginas, things of this description. People of this description do not belong in our community, and rightfully so. These would be people that have no business flexing or infiltrating into the community, because their ultimate mission is to see the unraveling and ultimately the destruction of the MGTOW community and the MGTOW philosophy. Why would you invite the wolf into the hen house, so to speak? Why would anybody think that that's acceptable? Well, I got to tell you, there are certain men, as lax as we are getting in the men we allow to call themselves MGTOW or red-pilled today, there are even certain men now that have become so docile, they're basically saying it's not that big of a deal that we have women here. Think about that for a minute, gentlemen. Every single thing we have in today's society, even things that were created for men, lodges, Boy Scouts of America, those are two that come off the top of the head now, MGTOW. All these things that were created for men, right? Created to give us our own space, our own identity. Something away from society, away from women, away from children. Something that we can call our own, right? All of these things have come under attack. And ultimately, all of them really have been destroyed at this point. There's nothing left that is sacred or that is left to men to have their own personal space. The Boy Scouts of America is no longer Boy Scouts of America. It's now Boy Scouts with girls who want to be in it, America. We also have, you look on the flip side, you have Girl Scouts. You don't hear about boys joining Girl Scouts, right? But here's the thing. Let me tell you what I've seen in response to this. I've seen so-called MGTOW saying, well, it's not that big of a deal that girls join Boy Scouts because Girl Scouts don't really have fun activities. So instead of adjusting and changing for the better the Girl Scouts and making it a better program for young women, they decide they have to infiltrate and flex and come in and completely dismantle and destroy one of the last remaining activities that was designed like over 100 years ago for young boys. Boy Scouts of America. Destroyed, right? That's one example. Now look back on what I just told you. MGTOW men have become too docile. We've become too docile. We've allowed these blue-pilled manginas within our ranks, and this amounts to nothing more than the same thing that's going on in the rest of society, which is indoctrination. When you have these blue-pilled simps that come in and say, well, it's not that big of a deal because, Girl Scouts of America doesn't have good activities, so the girls should be able to join Boy Scouts of America. You start to put that message out, even here in MGTOW, that type of behavior to completely deconstruct and destroy a program that was designed for young men and men alike, and men only, you start to send out the message that that's okay, and it isn't. It isn't okay. This is the same type of message that we already get from the rest of society, from the media, from the UN, from other nations. And, so now MGTOW has just jumped right in line with that same behavior in a lot of ways. Allowing that message to be seen as acceptable. When you see that kind of message and it's perpetrated on the members of whatever group you may be in at the moment, and I'm a member of a lot of MGTOW and men's groups, dozens and dozens, maybe approaching 100 at this point. But when you start to see those messages and they're made to look okay or acceptable, you're again sending them the message to men in these communities that this is how we should be treated. One of the last refuges here for men, MGTOW, and we're now saying to the men of old, and especially the men of young hair, that it's okay to deconstruct and dismantle these programs because, quote unquote, they don't have programs that are fun or interesting in Girl Scouts for girls. So let's go in and deconstruct and destroy Boy Scouts as well, instead of fixing the problem. Hammer made a good point in his video recently. No sacrifices. He talked about the no sacrifices with a young woman in one of his recent videos, maybe his most recent video. No sacrifices by women. He's absolutely right. What sacrifice does it take for young women to infiltrate the Boy Scouts of America and then likewise destroy it the same way the Girl Scouts has been destroyed? There is no sacrifice, and yet we have to sacrifice one of our last remaining reprieves from women. Why am I talking about this? Well, I'm talking about this because married men fall along the same line. Women fall along the same line. Feminists fall along the same line. Feminist male sympathizers fall along the same line. Blue-pilled cucks fall along the same line. And even men that are here as gay men, now this is the key, keep this in mind, men that are here as gay men and they are pretending to be straight men, and they're sending out messages that sexual activity that includes male type devices like a dildo, or receiving oral sex from a male doesn't somehow make you gay or bisexual, at least. Them sending out that message, they are also part of the destruction of MGTOW. Alright? They are all here with one purpose in mind. Every one of these groups of individuals is here for one purpose in mind: to destroy the last reprieve we had as males and trying to deal with the cards we've been dealt from society. Now, the majority, like I said, the majority of men were very supportive to my video and also to my open letter. The ones that weren't, basically a number of them said, well, you must be a homophobe. I'm not a homophobe. What you all don't realize is one of my best friends is gay. Great guy. Terrific guy. I would do anything to help him out. And he is one of my best friends. Right? So that has nothing to do with it. Even though I have a gay friend who is one of my best friends, I'm still going to stand up for what I believe is right and what I believe is wrong. And allowing gay men to infiltrate our organization and pretend to be straight males and trying to coerce or indoctrinate young men into this deviant sexual behavior of oral sex from other men or dildo type devices up their anuses as straight male sexual behavior, to allow that and to not say anything is to be part of the problem. Period, point blank. You don't like that? Go fuck yourself. That's what I'm going to tell you. And I say it again. Go fuck yourself. I'm not here to coddle the snowflakes. I'm not here to coddle the blue-pilled manginas that have infiltrated our group, because we have administrators that have become so docile and afraid to use their administrative authority to remove the cucks. Because A, they either believe Facebook's going to shut them down, or B, they want their numbers in their group up. Either way, they're part of the problem. You're part of the problem if you're listening to me. Alright? Period. Part of the problem. I have no problem with homosexual men being in a supportive role of MGTOW community. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is the ones that are pretending they are not gay or bisexual, and then thereby passing on bad information to our members, old and young alike, but again, especially the young impressionable members that look up to a lot of these people. I have a real problem with them passing on bad information as to appropriate sexual behavior and appropriate interactions with women, which are ultimately the number one enemy of men's freedom worldwide. Now, I saw a great post today from another individual that posted under my open letter, and he said that gay folks, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something along the lines of gay folks are a byproduct, or the gay movement or something is a byproduct of feminists and the direction that they're taking society. It was something along those lines, but I thought that was a great thing to say. That's exactly how I feel. The current overbearing and overreaching media machine of the gay community is it's not an ally to us. I guess that's the best way to say it. It is not an ally to MGTOW any more than the feminist propaganda machine is, or the snowflake feminist sympathizer machine is. None of it is an ally to MGTOW. As gay men, they cannot truly understand what straight men, heterosexual men face in this world today, with regard to society, with regard to women, with regard to feminists, with regard to sexual harassment allegations, with regard to child support, with regard to alimony, with regard to losing your job, with regard to possible jail time for certain men, with regard to all of the financial and lifelong destruction that occurs based on entering a marriage contract under the government with women, or cohabitating with women. What it boils down to is this. It's a basic case of, if you haven't been there and you haven't experienced it, how the hell are you here offering advice on how to handle it? Seems like some of these little blue-pilled manginas have a problem with me saying that. Again, I don't give a fuck. I'm not here to coddle your fragile glass pack little ego. Alright? Now, final thoughts on this. Administrators. We become way too docile in these men's groups. We have very little refuge left for us as men in the world. These Facebook groups, although it's not true world experience and it's not true world interaction, it's not true world communication, it's not true world brotherhood in the sense that you're standing there face to face and meeting people and building connection like that, but it's about all a lot of us have, right? So you have to do a better job. You have to do a better job. We need to remove women from the groups. Period, point blank. I don't care who they are. I don't care how much sense they seem to be talking. I don't care if they act like they're leading the charge for us against other women. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. If you can't figure that out, you don't belong here either. You need to reevaluate yourself. So we need to remove the women. We need to remove the feminists. We need to remove the feminist sympathizers. We need to remove the blue-pilled cucks and manginas. We need to remove the fake accounts. We really need to get a clamp down and remove the men that are married and the men that are in long-term relationships or cohabitating relationships with women. Give them their own groups. If they want to have those, fine. Let them be in them. But they're not living a red-pilled philosophy or a red-pilled lifestyle or community when they're sitting there literally sleeping with the enemy. And finally, we need to remove gay men that are perpetrating as straight men or trying to lead the charge for straight men against women. Or more importantly, gay men that are offering horrible sexual advice to straight men. And then passing it off as sexual behavior that straight men would do. I have no problem with gay men being here in a supportive role, but they can't be in leadership roles. They don't deal. It's the same thing as the married men and the cohabitating men. If you're not living the philosophies or the principles or the community of MGTOW, then you don't belong in a position where you are making decisions on our direction. There's just nothing else to it. That's it. And the blue pills that out themselves by supporting these things and arguing against removal of these things are the ones I'd say the most that need to be removed, because I can't stand those little blue-pilled motherfuckers. They've infiltrated us, and they've infiltrated us hard. And all of these groups are working together in symphony to bring down MGTOW. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen very soon if we don't get a hold on this. It's just right around the corner. A lot sooner than a lot of you believe. Alright, so one thing left for today. Let's change topics. I have new terminology because of all the dealings I've had with a lot of men raging, red pill raging within these groups. This is a subterm under raging. This is called dry raging. This is something that I coined after having to deal with men that just randomly in these groups rage at myself or other men. So the term is dry raging. And it means this: to rage and to lash out at other MGTOW and red-pilled men for no known or justified reason other than to rage. So we're not talking about them raging off on a subject and blowing a gasket and airing it out on there with no particular target in mind. You know, they're not attacking one single person. And we're not talking about them raging off about a woman or specifically at a woman or, men that are not involved in these organizations. This dry raging would be very specific to men raging and lashing out at other MGTOW and red-pilled men for no known or justified reasoning. That's dry raging. I've dealt with it. I'm sure a bunch of you have also dealt with it. Anyway, I'm out for now. Leave your comments if you would. I had some salty ass bitch leave a comment on my last video that he was reporting it. I said that's cool. It'll pass muster because the majority of the way I spoke in the video was more scientific type talking anyway. But I found the accounts very suspect. I had two accounts that were, it seemed to me, almost created at the exact same time, and both of them attacked the video at almost the exact same time. And they had no videos, they had no followers, they had nothing besides their name, and that was basically it. And this was on YouTube, and they said they were reporting me. I find that shit very suspect. I think that was either Turd Flinging Monkey or somebody associated closely with him, because there's been a whole bunch of suspect shit since I started all this, including not being able to leave comments on the original video he did that I made my video about. And so anyway, shit seems suspect to me, but that's it for now, gentlemen. I'm out, and have a blessed Sunday. We can get this up today. I shoot for another new video tomorrow, and guess what? It will be the last video of season 1. We're up to video 30 already. I can't believe it, but we are there. So anyway, we'll talk to you on the next video, gentlemen. As always, and especially when we're talking about the things I talked about today, realizing how much we are under attack right now, remember, stay the fuck red-pilled.
Si me llaman cuando vendo mis productos, dale duro, homeboy, échales todas tus ganas. A veces hay que sufrir por el dinero y la fama. Put a comma on the end, cause the verse isn't over. That's dedicated to my hustle, slinging dope on the corner. I hope that someday soon we can get up out the rain. But until that day comes, on the ground we gotta stay. Gotta slang to the rich, poor, needy, and the lost. Cold nights in the streets, steady to my heart to frost. Got a dog, red and blue, but I don't mean the gang. I'm talking about 5-0, trying to put me in chains. Keep it simple and plain, no regrets and no complaints. Hard times, gotta hustle, struggle to survive, man. No matter what I do, it's still a struggle to survive. Don't know if I'ma ever make it out this game alive.